All right, welcome guys to another edition of Nerdthusiast Poker Podcast and Video. We are sponsored now by a couple great sponsors. I want to shout them out real quick.
Buddy.
So you can check them out, twitch.tv/The Slot Squad. It's nightly casino action that you can check in on. There's live dealer, blackjack, roulette, poker, slots every night. And I'm actually on there a couple nights, so make sure you stop by. We got giveaways for you guys every night if you stop by. It's pretty cool. And you can ask a ton of questions. Even if you don't know stuff about poker or roulette, you can stop on there and ask live in chat, and we'll answer it for you guys. On top of that, we have another great sponsor. If you're in the state of New Jersey or you plan on being in the state of New Jersey, we have a free sign-up code. If you use our link down below for 888-POKER, it's down below in our description. You get $20 free, no deposit needed. You don't have to put a credit card in and do like a whole kind of – no. You just literally sign up as long as you're over the age of 21 in the state of New Jersey, and boom, you get $20 for free. Like, seriously, here's $20. Take it. Go down below. Sign up. Check it out. All right? Thanks, guys. So one of the things we've been doing is movie reviews. We've done some in the past. We're going to do some book reviews in the future, but we put out there a little bit to you guys to see what people want to see, and people put it out there a lot for the movie Lucky You, and lucky us for being able to review this film.
Now I'm gonna be perfectly honest before we even start this movie review. When poker started, the boom, 2003, anything poker related, I just absorbed 100%. So when this movie came out, the trailer came out, I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see this movie, blah, 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 blah. So needless to say, I didn't get to see it in theaters, but I actually bought the DVD when it was released. And the first time I watched it, I was like, what is this trash? And I put it in my DVD case, and I didn't watch it since. So needless to say, I'm like, wait a minute. When the decision was made to review this, I was like, yeah, let me go dig it up out of my DVDs.
I'm just pulling up the stats here. I want to look up. Go ahead. I'm listening.
So needless to say, having to watch it again on DVD format, no less, it was a nightmare because, I mean, I have a Blu-ray player, but for some reason the formatting was all screwed up.
Yeah.
So I put it in. It wasn't playing it correctly. I had to watch it on my computer. Halfway through, it screwed up. I'm like, man, I just want to snap this disc because the movie's that bad.
You should have brought it and snapped it here. We could have done the live on stream.
Yeah, well, anyway.
So we have we decided to do Lucky You. All right. So do you want me to start with the synopsis, or you want to start with it, or what?
All right. So basically, the movie opens up with the degenerate going into a pawn shop. Basically, it's established fairly early in the movie that this guy is just a degenerate poker player. Like he's selling, a camera, which you find out later on was stolen from a guy who rents his house. Like, I mean, the dude's a total degenerate.
Eric Bana is the guy that plays the main
So now,
character.
if you don't know who Eric Bana is, he was the original Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
So the Incredible Hulk was recasted, and it was
Twice.
It was Norton. Yes,
and then recast
and then recast it. Okay, so he was the original Incredible Hulk. Now, before we even get into it, as soon as I see him, I'm like, dude, this guy is way too likable for this role. Like, you look at him, and they needed someone that was a little bit scummier to actually fit the part to make it a little bit believable.
A little more like a little more badass. Kind of to it. Yeah.
So needless to say, he's a degenerate. He's selling some stuff. He goes, plays a game. Sits down at the Bellagio poker table, right? Everyone recognizes him. He's like a high roller, but he's playing in the dregs, probably like a 1-2 game or a 1-3 game or whatever. Somehow, some way, this first night, he runs it up, spins it up to like, a ridiculous amount of money.
Something ridiculous.
Totally unbelievable right off the bat. I'm like, there's no way this dude's turning $350, which is what he gets, into $10,000. In less than 8 hours or whatever.
Yeah, that's like a once in a lifetime situation. Like, that's not like an everyday thing. You're running that up, and he does it in like 3 hours.
Yeah,
So,
it's like so ridiculous. Needless to say, the one good thing about the movie is there are a lot of stars in it. Robert Downey Jr. makes an appearance. He's in it. Drew Barrymore, she's like the love interest. His dad, Robert Duvall, he's in it. He's actually a degenerate too. That's kind of plays into it, and not to mention there's so many pros.
Yeah.
Like a ton of recognizable pros from this time period. I mean, now I don't think many people are going to recognize some of the guys or girls that have kind of phased out.
Yeah,
but I know that.
Yeah, at the time it was.
That was the best
huge
part of the movie itself. Was like all the cameo appearances. Barry Greenstein, Sammy Farha, like a lot of guys that were a part of the boom were in this movie, made cameo appearances, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So in the story, he basically gets into a love relationship with Drew Barrymore, who's like in town as like she's trying to get a job in Vegas as like a cocktail waitress, lounge singer kind of deal, and they meet up. And he ends up like, okay, so here's the first thing, right? They go out. She sleeps with him on the first night, right? Okay, let's start with that.
Yeah.
And
No. Hold on. Hold on.
Well,
I don't want to give too much away.
Okay.
He meets her. She gets a job, right? Singing. He's like, let's go celebrate. He takes her to the 1-2 table with her money.
First date. First date. Takes her to the 1-2 table.
It's a hint, honey.
Now
he's a degenerate.
Now, I watched this with my girlfriend who had never seen it before. She knows a little bit about poker, but she doesn't know like the whole. So I want to see her opinion of this as we were watching it as well. She's watched some poker movies in the past with me, like Rounders and Mississippi Grind and some things. So I want to see her like opinion on it from like an outside perspective as well. We both laughed at this one line that was like the worst line. I'm like, who wrote this? So Drew Barrymore's there. They're at the 1-2 table for the first date night. She goes, I haven't had this much fun since middle school.
Yeah, since grade school. Or some
middle school. She said, I wrote it down. She goes, I haven't had this much fun since middle school. I'm like, what? Like, this is the most fun you've had since middle school is sitting behind a degenerate playing 1-2 poker? Your life must be horrendous. Like, seriously. I was like, I have to write. We laughed so hard. We're like, you got to be kidding. That's who wrote? Like, I can understand high school. Like, she's fresh out of high school. She's 23. She's in Vegas. Okay. Like, or college. Like, I haven't had this much fun since college. Since middle school. Like, who wrote that line and thought that was like a solid ass line?
So then, like you said, takes her home first night, sleeps with her, right? Then steals money out of her purse.
Here's where I'm not mad. I'm not mad that they slept together on the first night. Like, I don't care about that.
That's Vegas.
Right? Here's what I'm mad about. This chick gets, like, screwed over, and she gets her money stolen from this dude, and then, like, ends up just going, like, back to him like it was nothing. Like, come on, please. Like, that's, like, a blow to women out there in general. Like, come on. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's her. I mean, and, yeah, there's probably situations out there where that's happened, and that's unfortunate, but the dude's a complete degenerate. And then so the story unfolds that basically the conflict of interest is between him and his dad. His dad is kind of like supposed to be like a Doyle Brunson, where he's like super popular. Everybody knows who he is. And Eric Bana, who plays Huck Cheever, that's his name, is kind of in the shadows of his dad his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And he has this grudge against his dad his whole life.
Well, his dad, it's becomes apparent that his dad has snapped him off a couple times when they play poker. So it's,
and he's done it like in the movie as well.
Yeah,
like, he's taken his bankroll a couple times. Like, his dad's just ruthless when it comes to things, but he like everyone loves him on the side note. So the movie goes down. They're both trying to get into the main event. So the main story that is happening in the poker story of things is that Huck Cheever is trying to get his $10,000 buy-in into the WSP main event. And so he's got it a couple times, and then he blows it like a straight degenerate. Now
he gets backed. He loses that money to his dad.
Yeah, like just
he refuses to take the money from his dad out of principle.
Yeah. The one guy that I love in it is Horatio Sands. Horatio Sands is my favorite character in the whole entire movie. Horatio Sands plays this like degenerate prop bettor in the movie.
Yeah.
And he's just prop betting on everything. Like, and there's dudes like this, so it's hilarious. Like, he's betting on this the prop bet in there though of the guy sleeping in the bathroom for 30 days or whatever, which is like turned out to be a real thing, and like all these degenerate things. And so he makes a long shot bet with Huck about he has to do like run 3 miles and like shoot under a 75 on a golf course in under 3 hours, but not using a golf cart. And then it comes down to that last second, right?
Yeah.
And he sinks it, but it was over by 1 second. And Drew Barrymore is keeping time, right?
Yeah.
So she is like morally flexible to sleep with some random dude in Vegas and lose all her money.
Not to cut 2 seconds off this dude's time.
Yeah, I was like, what is happening? Like, it's got to be one way or the other.
Bro.
Either she's like goody two shoes or she's not.
Or she's not.
Like, you know, so that pissed me off. I looked at my girlfriend and she goes like this. I swear to God, I looked at her, she goes, I would have gave you the 2 seconds.
Yeah, seriously.
Like, and, you know. So, needless to say, he gets into the WSP main event, comes down to the final table. Him and his dad are on the final table. Okay. Now it gets shady as hell, all right? So this is supposedly, now they kind of try to emulate the Moneymaker final table. They have this dude with a hat who has, like, no poker
Who's
experience.
actually Cheddar Bob from 8 Mile.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, Cheddar Bob! Yo, it was Cheddar Bob.
I know who it was, yes. And so he's supposed to be, like, the moneymaker of the table.
Yeah, young
right?
kid.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So they're getting down people. And so John Hennigan, the poker player, is actually the bad guy at the final table. Like, he doesn't talk to anybody. And, like, my girlfriend, like, he played the villain good. Like,
Yeah.
he's not an actor. And he played, like, one of the best roles. My girlfriend turned to me again. She goes, I don't like that guy. Right? I'm like, I've played against that guy. And he's, like, you know, he's a really good player. And so he's the bad guy at the final table. And it gets down to it. Now, to start off the final table, they have the camera, whole cameras, right? So Huck is not showing his cards on the whole camera, right?
Yeah.
So shady number one. If you're actually there as the now Matt Savage was actually the tournament director in this
In
film.
the movie, yeah.
Matt Savage, if you're listening, you should have stepped up. I'm going to tag you in this, Matt. You should have stepped up and called him out for collusion, because it was definitely collusion happening there. First hand of, like, the final table, Dad raises something like 3x or something. First hand, Huck, like, 7x's it on the button, and, like, it folds back to his dad, and, like, he like folds. Like, everyone watching would have been like, what is that shady play right there? First hand, you're chip dumping on the first hand.
Yeah.
Right? So then it just, you know, that kind of stuff is happening, right? And then it comes down to the final three, okay?
Listen, this is where I lost it. And I remember first time I watched it, and I actually had forgot. And I'm like, dude, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Go ahead.
So it gets down to the final three. You got the moneymaker guy, Cheddar Bob. You got the dad, Duvall.
Robert Duvall.
And you got Eric Bana, Huck Cheever.
Yep.
Final three, right? They're getting down to it. So it comes to this hand. Now, the whole movie, Huck is trying to take out his dad. He keeps losing to his dad in all these situations, making bad calls, like all this thing. So it finally comes down to it, gets into, like, some big hand where you look down and Huck actually has, like, aces, but he doesn't show them on his whole camera, right? And his dad ends up having kings, long story short, right? And
it goes to showdown.
And then Huck, the dad flips over kings, and, you know, in a tournament, you're supposed to show over your cards at showdown. Huck just mucks the cards, even though he has the winner, because his dad, like, wants to win this tournament so bad for his legend or whatever. That is bullshit. Seriously, it's BS.
Yeah.
Okay.
He had a moment of clarity where he wanted to be above his degenerateness in the WSOP main event.
That's when he decided.
That's when he decides.
That's when he decides. Like, you know what?
Not when he bangs a girl and then takes her $1,200 out of her purse, or not when he rents a room out to his buddy and steals his camera. No, it's when he's about to win millions of dollars. He has a moment of clarity, and he's like, you know what? I'm above this. Take it down, Dad. And
his dad loses.
His dad loses to Cheddar Bob. So now you just ruined it.
Ruined it. Yeah, absolutely ruined it. And it was like the worst scene. And it was, listen, it's confusing on all angles. One, as a poker player, you're like, that would never happen. Never would happen. Would that situation happen? For that,
ever.
Maybe in a $5 tournament where, like, you're playing with your dad for the first time, you want him to win. Okay.
Nope.
But
it's my grandma. Sorry, Nan.
Taking that cash.
Busted.
Taking it.
Ship that stack over. I don't care who it is. I'm not folding aces in a tournament. Now, speaking of folded aces, there was a time that I actually folded aces to you.
When was this?
We were playing a satellite at Harrah's.
Oh, was this like the satellite?
Philly. It was a satellite to get into.
Oh, you already had a stack or something.
I already
right?
had a stack.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's different. Like a satellite. If you're already in, like, because, dude, here's the thing. That's like the only, if you read books, that's the only time they talk about folding aces is like if you're on a satellite spot.
Yeah.
You know, because if you're already locked in, why would you gamble at a percentage of losing your spot? So that makes sense.
It would have busted you. I remember because you were short. You were a little short.
Yeah.
And you needed the chip up in this hand.
Yeah, but why would you even risk like a situation?
I know, and I was just like, you know what?
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
But never would I do that
in a regular tournament.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, well, the satellite. If you already have a seat locked up, then that makes obviously sense.
I mean, look, I hated the movie. I'm sure you said that you probably weren't a fan of it.
Here, yeah, I definitely not a fan. Here's the thing about it though, right? And it was the biggest budget poker movie ever made. It had a budget of $55 million, and the box office only brought back $8 million. So it got absolutely crushed. This is right the poker boom. You probably had some investors.
2007 was when it came out.
You had some investors that were probably dumping money in this. Like, there's some big names in the movie. Like we said, there's a lot of money put into that.
Ton of poker players.
Here's the highlights. Right here's what I'm gonna say, because I don't always want to trash something without putting some good stuff in there as well. The plot, the story, we've already kind of trashed it. The highlights were this: the production value of the movie's like it's a high production value movie. Like, it's not grainy, it's not crap. Like, it's a high production, like, movie quality film. Like I said, I liked Horatio Sands. I thought there were some comedic parts to the movie that made it decent as well. The poker play was, besides the collusion stuff at the end, the poker play was like kind of on point.
The banter was atrocious.
Yeah, banter was atrocious. That was like a down spin on the situation. And I just didn't like the fact that they just try to jam stuff in there. Like, a couple things. The Robert Downey scene. Like,
what was that?
They just threw him in there. Like, they're like, yo, he was probably like on set, or someone knew him. Like, yo, could you come in? We'll pay you $20,000 for the day, or $50,000, or whatever the hell.
He
it was.
probably cost a whole hell of a lot more than that.
I wonder what he got paid for that. I mean, I guess we know with a $55 million budget, he probably did got paid a couple $100,000.
I think to just throw his name on the ledger to say that he's in this movie to bring in more people to watch it.
Robert Downey Jr. is in there for about 4 or 5 minutes, and he's basically getting asked to have money lent to.
It's a filler scene. It's stupid.
It's stupid.
It's irrelevant to the movie.
So, but the other good side of things, like you've already mentioned, there was a lot of top-notch poker players, which was really cool to see in there. So, production value of the film quality was good. But the poker, if you're a poker player watching it, I don't know. It's just not. It's not there. But on the other side, on an outside looking in, my girlfriend, she didn't love it. But she said she was like, it's okay. Like, she thought it was an okay film, and but that's for someone that has very limited knowledge of poker. Doesn't like completely understand the ins and outs of it. So,
it's not a poker. It's the opposite of what we talked about with The Grand. It's a movie that it tries to get get more people, not just people in the poker community. Not just people who understand poker or who are well versed in poker. So, I think it does hit on those things, like, a chick flick. Like, you watch it with your girlfriend, you could watch it with your girlfriend.
Yeah. So if we're gonna put a positive thing on it, you can definitely watch it for like a date night and get away with it. Like, you can sneak that in, like, oh, it's like a romance movie, but do you really want to put yourself through? I guess if you're gonna have to pick a romance movie, it's gonna be the one you want to pick. So, so that's our Lucky You poker movie review. Comment below. Let us know what you think.
Check it out, and then tell me if you want to snap my disc, and I'll send it to you. You can snap it.
We'll smash it. Thanks for checking us out. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe to our channel. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're on YouTube. And also, please check out our sponsors, twitch.tv/The Slot Squad. And also, you can sign up in New Jersey for the 888 Poker link. It's down below. We have an exclusive link, $20 free. Like I said, sign up for that. All right. Thanks, guys, and we will see you on the next episode.
Thanks, guys.